We are the Gavish Baninu. We bring forth the energy of 33, the master teacher. We bring forth to you at this time divine wisdom. But as is always the case in the planet of free choice, it is up to you if you wish to accept our gift. We bring you this gift from the place of love, for we are love. We are oneness. We are unity. We wish to start our message to you this evening by talking about freedom. We are not talking about the freedom that exists in some countries in your world. We are not talking about the freedom of speech or the freedom of press or the freedom to go where you choose. We are talking about being free. Free to be who you truly are. Now we realize that that freedom has been stifled by the self-limiting beliefs that you were given, that were handed down to you from generation to generation. But you are in a monumental time in human history where if you choose, you can free yourself from those encumbering, self-limiting beliefs. For there is a part of you that knows freedom. That part of you is a part of us. For all of you have a piece of the source, the great creator, the all itself within you. And just as the source is free to be the great I am, so too are you. In order to be free, it is important to note that you will need to live more in the place of feeling, what is often referred to as the heart center. For there is nothing that is more free than feelings, than emotions. They are in and of the moment. And although many of you choose to shackle and restrict those feelings, they exist in a state of freedom. Feelings are. Feelings are truth. And if you wish to connect to your truth, not the truth of the others, not the truth of those that gave you the conditioned beliefs, that imprison you, that restrict you, that limit you. If you wish to let those self-limiting beliefs go, you must decide to spend less time in your mind, in your intellect. And we hear you cry out, but how can we do that? The world demands that we think. The world demands that we have intellect. The world rewards the logic, the linearity of thought. For many of you have tried to live in the sensory place, to allow your creativity to blossom forth. And often you have felt the scorn of the others who say that is not the way you should live your life. Well, we are here to tell you that if it is freedom you want, if it is freedom you choose, it is time to ignite and live more in your yin, in your feminine energy, in your creativity, in your feelings, in your emotions. And once again, we hear you cry out, but how will we ever get ahead? How will we do what needs to be done? How will we make the money that is required to live in this world? And we say to you, we are not asking you to ignore, to shut down your yang, your masculine energy, your doing, your thinking. We are simply suggesting that it be redirected. That when you become more comfortable allowing your heart to lead the way, then you must practice training the mind to follow. That is not what you were taught. You were taught that the mind must lead the way. And we say to you, therein lies the source of much of your struggle, of much of your limitations, of much of your restrictions. For the only way to know and to live true freedom is to live from the heart, to have courage, to allow your feelings to lead the way. And again, we hear you say, how will I survive in this world that requires doing? And we point out to you that doing will remain. But how the doing is done can change. Let us take a brief moment and explain to you how the source, the great creator, the all, creates. For as above, so below. And all creation requires the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine. The imagining, the desiring, the dreaming, and the doing, and the making it happen. The difference between the higher realms and planet Earth is that in the higher realms, the vibration is higher, and all is one. All is unity. And so when Source creates, if you could allow yourself to imagine, it creates from a yin and a yang, a masculine and a feminine that is one. But on planet Earth, as you are all aware, those two aspects of you appear separate. They appear different. So what if you learned from the higher realms and allowed your being and your doing, your imagining and your taking action to be more at one? We know because we are with you always, that for the sensories, for the sensitive ones, for the creative ones. The doing often appears forced or unnatural. What if you allowed your creativity to flow into your doing? What if your doing was more divine? What if your doing was more inspired? What if your doing was more in the flow of life? For what we have observed on your planet is that the collective consciousness has allowed the pendulum to swing very far to one side, where the doing is not natural. The doing does not come from a place of love. The doing does not come from a place of compassion. The doing does not come from a place of empathy. The doing comes from a place of fear and lack and not enough. And thus you push and shove and push some more. And we hear you cry out, well, how can we accomplish this? How can we change our doing? And we go back to what we started this message about, and that is freedom. Feel your freedom. When you wake in the morning, take a few moments and allow yourself to feel free, to feel unencumbered. When you go to sleep at night, allow yourself to do the same. When you are in the midst of your day, in the hustle and bustle of the world around you, take a moment, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to feel freedom. And then allow your action to come not from the have-tos, not from the shoulds, not from the must-tos, not from the encumbering self-limiting beliefs, but allow your action to come from your freedom. And watch how different that action is. Begin to become more aware of your doing. Begin to observe whether your doing is forced. Begin to become aware of whether your doing is happening because of what you were taught, of what you believe is the way to do. It is time for the citizens of planet Earth to wake up, to become more conscious, to stop being followers. And the only way to do so is to connect with your inner freedom. And of course, we realize that who we are speaking to this evening are on the path of awakening and have had the courage to travel the road less traveled. And that is why we are speaking to you. Because with a little more courage, with a little more sense of freedom, you have the ability to change your world forever. It is important to note that the collective consciousness is not linear. It does not work in such a way that one person in the light counteracts only one person in the darkness. For the light is far stronger than the darkness. And one person, one human being in the light, can counteract hundreds, if not thousands, of those in the darkness. You are the way showers. You are the workers of the light. Connect to your freedom. Connect to your courage. Stand tall and allow your heart center to lead the way. As we have said, there is practice that is required to ask the mind to stand down. It has been given much power over the generations. But let us tell you that you are capable of changing that. Begin to create your freedom list. Begin to spend some time with yourself and write down all of the things that you would do if you were totally free, if you were not encumbered, if you were not restricted, if you were not limited. And begin to act upon that list. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And the journey to freedom begins with one step, and then another, and then another. So we ask you to consider, as you go about your daily activities, asking yourself the question, am I coming from a place of freedom? Or am I coming from a place of encumbered, self-limiting beliefs? And may we remind you, we are here for you, now and forever, to assist you in this road to freedom. And as you become more and more comfortable traveling the road of freedom, please share it with your friends and your relatives and your coworkers. Begin to help more and more people live from the place of feelings. Quiet the mind and open the heart and let it lead your way. We bring you this message from a place of love, not from criticism. For as we have told you many times before, you live in the planet of free choice. And so we are not directing you, we are not ordering you to live more in the place of freedom. We are merely suggesting that it is an option available to you. The choice is yours. Our love for you is everlasting and unconditional.